everyone, and welcome back to Geekvolution After Dark. I'm Captain Logan, and thanks a lot, as always, to our patrons for helping us out with Geekvolution. We bring you another grouping of random topics and things. Eric, we've got a topic tonight from one of our viewers. First time that we're going to directly answer that. I guess I've gotten some things before where...
Is that Niels?
Where I'm like, it's Niels, yeah. Where I'm like, oh, that's a good topic. Maybe I should tackle that. But this is one directly. Please talk about this on After Dark, and also it's part of a Patreon perk. And we're doing those now at the $50 tier for anybody that wants to go to that. It's a paid topic. First time we've done one of those on Geekvolution After Dark. So we're gonna open with that tonight and spend a little bit of time on it. Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
It's a little weird coming to Geekvolution After Dark right after watching something like really heady and cerebral. Mm-hmm. We just got done watching the last of the Netflix Godzilla trilogy. My mind is kind of swimming with ideas and things, and not totally sure that I'm fully understanding everything that went on in that. That's one of those things I need more time with.
Yeah.
Really do. And not going to get it before we have to talk about it a little bit, but yeah.
I mean, you'll have time to rewatch it if you wanted to.
Sort of, but I have so much else I've got to do.
Yeah.
I got a lot of comics to read. I got to get through Crisis.
Yeah.
I read most of the first issue, but I haven't gotten any farther than that yet.
It's just getting people. It's just going around getting people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
I want to believe that would be more novel, but I feel like the first issue of a lot of events are that, and I don't know if that's because of Crisis, or... I don't know if I needed 35 pages to get people.
I thought you said you liked it.
I did.
Yeah.
But that's assuming...
No, I got bored with that stuff. And I mean, like, at least it's not too long before you finally go, okay, and they're all in a room together.
Yeah. And then they're just fighting Chaz or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be novel because it's introducing you to a bunch of characters that inevitably you probably don't know. Mm-hmm. Because you'd have to read every single thing going all the way back to know everyone in that
And
book.
those Charlton characters, like, they just got.
And hadn't been in anything in forever.
I don't think
probably. Well, certainly not at DC anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm sure that was a lot of people's introduction to Psycho Pirate, and...
Yeah, I don't know whose villain he is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Whenever people bring up Psycho Pirate, it always goes back to Crisis. Like, oh yeah, of course Psycho Pirate has a Crisis.
I'm sure we will bring this... I don't need to sit here and review this book right here, but in case I don't have a chance to mention it, because we probably won't have time to spend like half an hour on Crisis, and it's Crisis, I say that, we tend to go over, but we've got so much to do on that next show, we're going to have to be a little bit more careful about time. So let me ask you this here in case I don't get a chance to do then. Because I don't know a lot about Firestorm.
Okay.
Is Crisis the reason that Firestorm and Killer Frost are engaged in Flash in the TV show?
No, I think that's just terrible writing.
You think?
Well, yeah, because...
But what I'm saying is, like, is that where they got the idea?
No, I think it's because they're so up their own fucking asses that they introduce characters as like, oh, it's so cute that they're the opposite of what they're gonna be, but then they can't actually make that arc, so she just stayed a good guy.
No, I get that, but that's not what I'm talking about. Very early on, it's a plot point that her because he's thought, we think he's dead from the beginning. That she and Ronnie are engaged.
Well,
and then he's missing for a long time, but we think he's dead. And then he comes back, and then they're together, and then they actually really kill him off.
I think she's his like arch nemesis. So I think that's more of that, like, having fun with... They're starring in the opposite places, but we're never going to go to where they're supposed to be. Yeah. We're just going to stay right here where it's comfortable.
And when we do, it's like a token one-off episode, and then they do the whole bullshit, like...
She's from another... there's a bad one from another
dimension. And, okay, so you do know about that.
We fucking suck at our jobs.
And I'm afraid that...
We only make trash.
No, really. Tell me how you really feel. Yeah, I'm afraid
I'm so fucking done with that.
Destined to be.
I'm so fucking done with starting shows and being like, we'll get there, and then never getting there.
I was just wondering if maybe somebody read Crisis and the notion of putting them together was fun to them because they have that weird flirtation thing in that.
Maybe.
That's all I was asking.
I like what Firestorm's like.
It's funny.
She is kind of hot.
Yeah, he goes, she's not bad looking. And this is a few pages after he was like, you're cold. I would never want to have physical intimacy with someone that cold.
Yeah.
like physically cold.
Yeah.
That will be fun to talk about. Yeah. Anyway, all right, we're gonna move on now to topics.
No, my assumption is
that
that they start them there because he isn't that cute.
That's what I always thought, but then I was very surprised to see that in Crisis.
I can imagine it lasts, but I don't know.
Yeah, unless it's a running gag through the whole book.
A lot of times I'm not convinced any of those people actually read comics. I think they read Wikipedia synopsises.
Well, yeah, but that could be in the Wikipedia synopsis.
Maybe. I'm
not. I'm just saying it could have come from.
I'm not caught up on my Firestorm knowledge.
There are a lot of really, really super deep pull things in those shows. To be fair, that even if they haven't read a lot of comics, it's kind of cool they even thought to go to, because like Invasion is a thing I wouldn't even know about if it weren't for I didn't know about that event.
Sure.
And then they did an adaptation of it. It's not great, but it's just cool they did. And then I found out
I don't think Invasion is great.
I've never read it. I've got it.
I don't think Invasion is great.
But then I found out about that, and McFarlane drew it, and it was cool to get to see that. And so, I don't know. I gotta give them credit where it's due. Like there is some education that's happening for some of us because of those shows.
I wonder how much of that is what's that called when you're more creative when you're making a movie because you have a lower budget. There's a term for
We've talked about that here, but creativity through it's late. But
yeah. What I wonder how much of that is they took all of the good toys away.
Yeah.
What do we have to play with?
Well, I'm sure some of it is that, yeah. But through adversity or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking adversity too, but that's great.
Yeah. I'm hesitating because we've done this dance before, and I don't want to be inconsistent because I was right the first time. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into some topics. So, Eric, let's go ahead and knock out Neil's. Neil's question today is real broad. Neil says, talk about death.
Well, I mean, she wasn't in Infinity War.
Yeah, I know, and that was really unfortunate, and I'm not sure if we will ever see a live adaptation of that character.
Oh, no, certainly not. I mean, we'll also never see a live action adaptation of Thanos. That's just not going to happen now. Thanos just will never appear in something live action.
Now, if that character was in DC, we would see it in Flash or Arrow, but it would be like they do like the opposite, where she'd be all about like life and shit. Right?
Or she'd be just like a normal person that they cutesily dance around, oh, she likes death.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
You know what we're lucky about? That they haven't tried to adapt Neil Gaiman's death in those shows.
That's true. We're really lucky that they haven't touched that.
Because they did that in mainstream continuity, and it's pretty good. We do it in, what is it? The Action Comics with Lex Luthor is where we bring that in.
That's
where I was introduced to that character.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I've never read Sandman.
Okay. Well, so we used to do. They used to pop up more.
Okay.
They before
but I thought
Vertigo.
She showed up in Vertigo stuff.
Sandman starts not Vertigo.
Okay.
You've never read Sandman? Sandman opens hardcore DC universe.
In DC universe?
Martian Manhunter's in it. There's a guy called Dr. Destiny who's an obscure Batman dog.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
It starts hardcore DC universe and then kind of trails off and becomes Vertigo. But
so it's like Resurrection Man, where it's weird that it's in. I mean, I guess Resurrection Man's it, but it's weird that it's in DC continuity, but it is.
That's just all they were doing at that point.
Okay,
Swamp Thing's the same way. Swamp Thing also starts very heavily rooted in DC, and then once Vertigo gets created, they're kind of it's kind of like a Vertigo universe, but they don't. The Vertigo universe is like Image, where it doesn't actually match up.
Right.
Lucifer is theoretically the devil from Sandman, but apparently that doesn't really match, and none of that stuff really matches what we do cosmologically with Hellblazer.
I just think it's really interesting right post-Watchmen that we don't start doing a lot more out-of-continuity stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That, it takes a few years before we get to Vertigo.
Yeah, we still keep everything in continuity, even if it's more mature.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that. Green Arrow and The Question were they were mature reader books, but they were still in continuity.
Yeah.
We don't do that enough.
No, and now we feel the need to put it under another label, like Black Label, where it's in continuity, but we had to make up a label for it.
Is that stuff in continuity?
No, well, I don't think
some of it, but Three Jokers.
Three Jokers is going to be Black Label. I'm with you. No, I don't like that either.
I just don't care about Three Jokers. I'm sorry. Maybe it'll be amazing. Maybe it can win me over. I just don't care. That seems like a real dumb idea somebody had, and the fact that they made us wait this long.
Yeah.
Like, just you wait, it's gonna blow your mind. You're gonna be so excited for 3 Jokers. And you know what's gonna happen?
Well, they did the same thing with Pandora. This is just like Pandora.
Yeah, it's just like that. And you know what's gonna happen? Everyone's gonna come out of the woodworks and tell me how fucking amazing it is, and like how important it is. And it probably will be good. Like Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
I will read 3 Jokers. I will not read Doomsday Clock. I will read.
There's nothing inherent about 3 Jokers that should repel you, except for the fact that
it just seems dumb.
It's been 3 years.
Also, no one can explain what the 3rd Joker is, because like
I forget what they all look like. There's like old.
They don't look different enough for me.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a picture. They don't look different enough for me.
Is one of them straight up Snyder Joker?
I don't know.
Okay.
But they're like. So they're like, okay, so there's one that's like the crazy homicidal maniac, like killing Joker. That's that Joker.
Yeah.
And there's one that's like the trickster, like drives around Joker mobile. The fuck is the 3rd one?
Snyder.
Is he like just a middle ground? Yeah, but now Tom King's written the Joker. What Joker is his?
I would assume it's just an extension of Snyder's, given that his whole run is an extension of Snyder. Not in that he's just doing Snyder, but in that it only remembers Snyder things.
But his Joker is very different than Snyder's Joker.
No, I completely agree with that. That's true. Yeah, so yeah, what is it, like a mid... Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, what the fuck is the 3rd Joker?
So I'm sure this is not what Neil asked us to talk about. How preoccupied with the subject are you on a day-to-day basis?
That could show up in Deadpool now.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Anyways,
No, that would be cool. And he could, like, fourth wall break and be like... Well, Thanos is supposed to be obsessed with you. I bet you don't know that.
On a day-to-day basis, not at all.
Interesting.
Every once in a while, I kind of think about my mortality, but more in the sense of, boy, I'm almost dead and I haven't done anything.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to die before I've done something.
You don't actually feel like you're almost dead, but you're just like...
In the grand scope of things.
Yeah. I spent this many years. I was hoping to get to this place by now. Is it like that?
Yeah. Well, that and just...
Everybody has that to some degree.
And time moves so much faster, where, like... I've got 2 years till 30, but it feels like I've got 6 months. And I've got 10 years till 40, but it feels like I've got 2 years.
Yeah.
And so...
That gets worse after you have kids.
I bet.
You get married and have kids.
I bet.
I mean, everything moves like so fast for me now. Like, somebody will request something, and it'll be 3 or 4 months. They're like, for them, that time's been like molasses, and it's like a year or two, especially younger people. You have somebody who's like 16, 18 recommend something to me, and I'm like, you just recommended that. Or you just asked me for that. No, I didn't. That was a long time ago. When the fuck are you going to get to it?
There's a scientific thing about that. I think we might have talked about it After Dark before, but there's a thing about how...
We have had many conversations.
Based on how we perceive time, because time does move quicker as you get older, based on how we actually perceive time, you have actually lived half of your life at 10.
That's really, really depressing.
Yeah. What?
And I wish you'd never said that to me.
And yet another reason not to believe in God. Who the fuck would create creatures that half of their life
And you're saying this isn't just a subjective thing. You're saying that like everyone has this.
Yeah. That half of your life, at least as you comprehend it. Because think about how long a day felt when you were a kid. Think about we literally perceived time differently. So, the summer break felt like it went forever.
That's also weird watching children.
Mm-hmm.
When you have kids. Where like I think about this a lot actually. Like trying to imagine how the passage of time goes for Jason at 8 versus what it feels like for me. So like when I promise him we're gonna do this soon, and it's been a month. How long is that for him? Like for me, it's not been that long, but he's like, when are we gonna get around to that?
Yeah. So in that context, I think about death, in that it's coming. And what have I done with my life, kind of a thing. But I'm not scared of dying. I'm not afraid of death. I don't know if I've ever talked about it here, but I think I talked about it on my old channel. But like for me, death is not something I'm afraid of. I'm much more afraid of like Alzheimer's. Like death of self is worse to me than literal death. There's also a really small part of me that's really curious what happens afterwards. Like if there is an afterlife, or even if there isn't an afterlife, what does it feel like? Like we assume that our consciousness just goes away, but what if it doesn't? Like, what if it's just something different? Like what if it feels different? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious what happens once I die.
And just what the experience of dying
is
if you experience it at all.
Yeah.
You know? Because it might just be like going to sleep.
No, it could be. But it also could not be. And no one can know that.
Yeah.
So there's a small curiosity, but I'm not afraid of death. It's not something I'm preoccupied by. I'm preoccupied by death in a failure kind of a way where I'm like, it's coming.
Yeah.
I should be ready. But not in a like, oh my god, I'm afraid I'm going to die.
So you don't so you don't find yourself getting preoccupied and caught up in like imagining the world going on without you and that kind of thing, where like because this is a thing that some people get like almost paralyzed by.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that like whether you believe in an afterlife or not, obviously with a lot of people either whether or not you have that belief, but just the fear of maybe there's nothing after death, the blankness, the void, the nothing.
No, I'm more preoccupied by because I don't know, I guess I've made my peace with that. Like, I'm pretty sure when I die, like, that's kind of it, right? Like,
that's what Roger Ebert said just before he passed. He said, and it was a little bit eerie because it was like a month before he blogged about this or made a tweet or something, and he was like, I'm not really afraid of dying because it's not going to be any different than before I existed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's interesting.
I'm more concerned about where I am before I get to that. Like, did I have a good life? Was I a good man?
You concerned about legacy?
Not.
Do you think about?
No, just for myself. I want to be satisfied when I die. I want to. I mean, like, it'd be nice if people like me. Like, I'm not really concerned with like what people think about me when I die as much as I'm concerned about what I think about me when I die.
You know what I think is really interesting? That, and let me preface this by saying this is going to get depressing.
Sure. Are you concerned about, like, is that where you're going?
Oh, absolutely. What's very interesting about this for me is that you think of yourself, or used to, as a more cynical person than me, and then some other people.
Sure.
I have a much more cynical outlook when it comes to my own death than it seems that you do.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could be as peaceable as you seem to be when it comes to that. All the things I just described, I have. It is a mortifying thing for me. I have the William Shatner thing. I am very preoccupied by death. More so now after Tim Lyons passed. And this is where it will get depressing. One of the things that bothers me is how easily some people seem to move on. I have a really tough time with that. Call me selfish, call me egotistical. I'm conflicted about it. On the one hand, obviously, if something were to happen to me tomorrow, I wouldn't want my family to live the rest of their days just mourning and not doing anything with their lives. At the same time, I do have it hurts my feelings to imagine the world going on without me, and the idea that it would be that easy for people I knew. It wouldn't be easy, but the perception of that, where Tim died and it was awful, and we all had a hard time for a couple of weeks, and then now it sometimes feels like I'll bring him up in conversations and people don't want to talk about it. And it's like, you shouldn't still be mourning. That was a year ago. And I don't know if that's really how people actually feel about it, but it seems like we have to kind of ignore it now because he's not with us anymore.
Well,
and it's sad and it sucks, but he can't be here and be a part of things now. And I think about all the things that he's missed, and I think about all the movies he would have liked to have seen, and in video games and in conversations we could have had and stuff, and that has made it worse for me that I saw somebody younger than me just blink out of existence, and the world kept going.
But is it possible that those people don't want to bring it up because they don't want to think about it because it hurts?
Sometimes I'm talking about people that didn't know him.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I'm talking about people who see, and again, this might not be fair, but I'm preoccupied with that. This is a thing. Maybe I shouldn't even be talking about this. It is on my mind some. Where I'll bring them up, and it's almost like people have, especially people who didn't know him, it's almost the sense of like, yeah, but get it, your friend died. You know, and that's tough for me. Partly again,
but that's people that didn't experience that loss.
Yeah, no, I get that. But, like, I don't want to be the subject of that when I die.
But if somebody still feels bad that you died...
Yeah.
Like, you're concerned about people that didn't know you?
It's hard. It's hard to explain.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, it's like people are trying to force us to move on, like, before we're ready. Mm-hmm. And my fear is that kind of social stigma makes the memory of me evaporate.
I see.
Does that make sense?
I see. Sure. I mean, that's not a thing I have, so like not completely, but like conceptually, I understand what you're saying.
The blanking into the void and not getting to experience anything anymore and not seeing where it all goes thing, the paralyzing thing, I definitely have that. Mm. Not as much as I did when I was younger. When I was a kid, I really had that. You know, I thought about the grander, you know.
You know what scares me more than death?
all the time, and especially. Like, I don't know. In some ways, sorry, let me say this. Yeah. In some ways, it's easier for me now, and in some ways harder because I'm not religious anymore. And we've talked about this on After Dark before, where you used to kind of have that piece of, well, I'm going to live forever because I believe in God, but then there's always that thing in the back of your mind that's like, but what if you're wrong? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm pretty darn sure there's not an afterlife, or at least I can't be sure of it. I can't prove that there is.
Not one that you... At least understand.
Yeah, which is an ironic thing to say in this context.
Sure.
But yeah, like I say I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but like my guess is probably not. And so, like, on the one hand, it kind of sucks if my consciousness doesn't go on in some way, but on the other hand, like. It is. I don't have to worry about, like, you know, did I believe enough? Did my belief count?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Did you hit the goal?
Exactly. You're here, and I mean, like, I get, like, faith-based belief versus works-based righteousness. Like, I'm not religious anymore, but I get it. Mm-hmm. And the churches I went to, it was the faith-based thing. But there's always that question kind of in the back of your mind, like. But does it count? You know, like did I believe enough? Because I always felt like it was a contradiction where, in a way, faith felt like a work. Like, there is a thing you have to do. Belief is like an action, but we're told it's not an action. But if it isn't an action, then and you either inherently have it or you don't, then why do we need to tell people about it? Like so that was just always, you know, I think I don't have to worry about that anymore. So now it's just a matter of making sure that I do as well as I can. And while I'm here, try to leave the world better than I found it, try to leave behind as good of a legacy as I can, and then that's it, I'm out. You tap out. And so I guess in some ways that is a little bit easier to swallow, but I do have those days where I'm like, the blankness, the darkness, the nothing. I have a tough time with it.
Interesting. What bothers me more than death, and it's one of my, like, greatest fears, is going into a coma and coming out and everything's different.
Oh yeah, that's rough.
More
the Rip Van Winkle thing.
More than people, like, because if I'm dead, right? Like,
yeah.
But the idea that people get used to me not being there and then I come back. The idea
there's no place for you left in the world.
Yeah. Your friends have moved on, and like if 5 years later, right? Like, you're a different person.
Yeah.
But I'm not. And your significant other maybe has moved on to another person, because you cannot honestly expect them to wait. Like, for something that may never happen.
Yep.
They've gotten on with their life. That terrifies me, like, to a truly, like bone-chilling level.
It's the scariest sense of you aren't the same person from moment to moment, because when you wake up, you are the person you were when everybody else changed. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is somebody different now. So I said I do have a fear of death, certainly. Mm-hmm. But I also have what you have, the thing you said about Alzheimer's. Because for me, that is like death.
I agree.
I am more afraid of not being myself anymore than I am of dying, because I equate those as the same thing. Mm. So this will sound radical to some people. This is After Dark. I don't mind discussing it here.
Dementia's the other one. I was trying to think of the other one.
Dementia, yeah, absolutely. I, in specific cases, don't have a problem with assisted suicide.
Sure.
That is a belief that I hold. That is an opinion I have. if I go far enough where I'm not myself anymore, kill me.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
When I get to that place and I'm not me anymore, or if I can't really function, I'm as good as dead anyway. That's how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing against how anybody else would want to handle that in their situation. You know, I wouldn't presume to tell someone else what to do with themselves or their mortality, but I feel like that's a freedom we should have.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you ought to be able to make that call.
Before you get to that place, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I
think you ought to be able to make that call.
I agree.
A lot of people don't share that.
But I
a lot
also
of people think you should stay alive as long as humanly possible, no matter. But like, I want to live, not be alive, and there's a distinction.
Yes, I agree. Well, and I also like with like a coma situation, like I would rather you pull the plug than, especially with like a significant other. I think the line for me, because I always said like a year, like give me a year. If you're ready to move on, just kill me.
That
like,
yeah.
Right? Like look.
Because again, you don't want to wake up and have somebody else's life. You don't want to have like not your life.
Yeah.
Anymore.
If you're.
Yeah.
If my significant other at that time is, you know, let's say I'm in a coma for 3 years, like they start talking to like another person, or whatever. Like I don't want them to put their life on hold for me. I just don't want to wake up to that universe. So just, there's nothing wrong with it. Just.
You know what I wouldn't be able to deal with? Like I'm starting to get more worried about the thing you're talking about.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. I go in a coma tomorrow. I wake up 20 years later. Jason's like 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit. Like,
yeah.
No.
Right? That's way worse than death.
Yeah. No, that's awful. And like, if it's not too long.
Think about all the movies you have to catch up on to finish. Think
about all the Rewind. That would be awful. Well, okay, the worst thing, this will somewhat be a joke, the worst thing for that with Rewind would be 20 years later in superhero movies of the Western, but I still have to do it? Just because I said I would?
And the 2-year rule doesn't apply to any of them. You can't, people are just waiting for you to do them. You have to watch it and give your immediate reaction.
Yeah, for me, it just came out! So I gotta, like, do the research on how it affected the culture. Like, I didn't experience any of that. So now I'm freaking... You won't get that reference. Now I'm Morgan Bateson from Cause and Effect. That's a TNG episode you haven't gotten to, but you'll get to it soon. Oh man. Yeah. But anyway, as far as like, you know, is there an afterlife or whatever, I don't know. I tend to lean toward I have a more kind of realistic way of looking at this these days. I am open to possibilities. And like I'm a big science fiction guy. Like I'm all about possibilities. I think the grander philosophical ideas are really interesting to me. At the end of the day, like the white lights and everything, that all from all accounts seems to be like electrical signals in the brain and stuff.
Yeah. I think if something happens, it will be different. It's not like you will do something, but it could feel like something. Like I don't know, like just. Even if it's just you like going into the earth or whatever, like okay. I feel like it could feel like something in a way that's undescribable. Like I don't think
you might not even be aware of it, or you might like be part of some other, you know, larger entity or consciousness or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like at the end of the day, again, if you're not you, what does it matter? You know, if you don't retain your sense of self or your memories, something that I think about a lot that is one of the things that weirdly started to deter me from religion was the notion of okay. When I die, my soul is what exactly? When you look at how much of identity is like your mind and body connected, when you think of psychosomatic stuff, when you think about how much of who we are is about chemical processes and stuff, when all those things are gone and all I am, and if such a thing as the soul exists, is an energy being, you know, an entity, how much of myself is still there? How much do I retain? We deal with this in science fiction all the time. And yet there are a lot of people who aren't concerned about that at all, where it doesn't bother them that if you lose your body, how much of your identity is intact?
Well,
and like with in Christianity, we talk about you know, the idea that your body is just a shell. But it's more than that, right? Because the chemical processes have a lot to do with it. And like if those break down and you get Alzheimer's and you're losing your sense of self, shouldn't you be concerned about what your soul is?
Yes. I've never had this. I don't have this because I always assume that
this is a thing I am very preoccupied by.
See, because there is something Because when I think about it, human beings don't make sense. Because when you break it down on like a scientific level, like a microcosmic level, all of this is just like synapses firing and like things happening, right?
Yeah.
But I still have the cognizant idea that I'm doing something. I'm making a choice. I can't not show up for work and say like, well, on a microscopic level, I didn't make that choice.
No, but I'm not talking about.
But to me, that's if I were to believe in a soul, that's what the soul is. It is you, right? Like that's what differentiates it from the microbiology, and like it's your consciousness.
But what you don't know is if that consciousness would retain memory without the brain.
Well, I mean, it's all magic fucking anyways. Like, sure, it will, right? Like,
I don't make that assumption. I don't assume that.
Based on Christian mythology, like.
Oh, okay, sure, but that's why that breaks down for me, because I don't buy that. I'm not sure anyway that the essence of you would survive without your brain and the chemical processes. It's not just a matter of okay, well, like the philosophical idea that that you and I get this, that like maybe technically nothing you do is ever really a matter of free will or choice because it's just a bunch of chemical processes. That's not all I'm talking about though. I'm just saying that like those things factor in.
But I don't think they do with like Christian mythology because it's fucking magic. Like, I don't.
But that's why I have a hard time buying it.
Well, sure, because it's magic.
Right, but what I'm saying is I had a hard time with it because it didn't seem to mesh with science.
But also remember...
And that's why I wasn't sure that I could... Part of why I wasn't sure I could buy into it.
But also remember that... And this is the thing that even when I was a Christian, I was always like, yeah, we're supposed to go to this like great heaven place, but I'm not so sure about it. When you go to heaven, you're perfect.
Yeah.
Which would suggest that you don't have all those chemical...
Precisely. And that bothers me.
People are who they are because of their flaws.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of like going somewhere where everyone's the fucking same. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of everyone being the same.
Because, that means that you lose the human condition, and I like too much about the human condition. And this sounds cynical and awful, but never mind all of the horrible things that have happened because of it, right? Just me, on a personal level, I get joy and satisfaction from trying to attain goals, even the unattainable. When you lose that, when there's not that the difficulty and the hurdles, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, it's like being alive but not living.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, we should move on to another topic.
Sure.
Neil, there you go. We talked about death.
Pretty deathly, I think.
Yeah, we sure did. On a couple of different levels.
You know where both of us stand on the topic of death.
And the people named death. Eric, what would you like to talk about?
So my first topic is going to be potentially really cynical.
Okay. We did establish that you have sometimes that sensibility about you.
So, with biopics and historical dramas, is it potentially damaging to society to Hollywoodize them? So, are we lying to ourselves that there are good people and good things happen? So, I was thinking about this yesterday because I looked at a copy. We had Aaron Brockovich. Aaron Brockovich is a crock of shit, because what Aaron Brockovich is about a prostitute with a heart of gold who goes to bat for, I think it's some kids. I don't remember, but like she helps some people in the community or whatever. Like it mounts this great legal case for these people, right? And it's a big win. She fucking wins the legal case, right? That's how that movie ends.
Okay.
In real life, after the credits roll, those kids don't see a fucking dime. She takes all of it in legal fees. But we don't put that in the movie. We're lying. We're telling people that there was a good person once and she did this great thing, but there wasn't and she didn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like most historical films, to some degree, or at least the more positive ones, is that bad? Is that potentially harmful to our worldview? Are we being lied to on a daily basis? And not to get conspiratorial, but like, are corporations feeding us the belief that this is what the world is so that we can then continue to live and be happy and not question things and
in some cases to say power doesn't corrupt and I'm the powerful person telling you that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there are Can I
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like there are a couple of different questions in your question.
Sure.
So the thing that you're straight up coming out and asking is if this is detrimental to society, but the other underlying question I think in that is it telling us something scary? This is where you say it's cynical. Is it? But I feel like this is like a separate question. Is it saying something cynical about us that we have to change real life stories in order to make them endearing because all of these people are actually kind of bad in the first place? I feel like there's two different questions there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
but like, is that what you're saying? That like there aren't good people?
So I don't. There aren't. I'm sorry, there aren't.
Okay.
When you look at history, if you look into any single figure, I guess except for Mr. Rogers, if you look into pretty much any single figure, they're always.
If there's one, there's hope.
But he's also real humble. Like he's not somebody that like they're building like legends around kind of a thing. I guess maybe
that's not true.
They're making a movie about him, right? Yeah.
Well, no, but also there've been. I guess this is not what you meant when you said that, but like. Because we're cynical enough about famous people, at least, there have been legends about Mr. Rogers forever.
Sure.
The idea that he must have fought the Viet Cong and has like tattoos all over him, and the reason that he started helping children was because he had PTSD and he was trying to get past that. None of that is true. And no, we had to make up shit about him because we couldn't believe that anyone could be that good. There are plenty of people who potentially are like Mr. Rogers who just weren't in the public eye.
Sure. But it does seem like anyone that did anything in the world that's remembered, they're always bad. When you look into it, one of the things that fucks me up...
When you say bad, because there's different levels, and I just think it's somewhat hyperbolic, which is what makes me kind of hopeful, right? Is like because this scares you, you want to look at any negative side of a person as they're a bad person, where some of the time the good does outweigh the bad, right?
Sure. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like most historical figures, when you look into them, you're like, oh, they were monsters. Like not just they had flaws. Like I feel like most historical people were monsters.
See, there's just straight up power corrupts.
I don't even know if it's power. Like one of the things that really fucks me up historically.
But when you say historical figures who are remembered for something, these are all people who got some kind of fame or power.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. So that is inherently what you're saying.
Yeah.
Unless you think that everyone is already like that.
Well, here's the thing that messes me up historically, because this is a thing that like is across the board with everyone.
Yeah.
Cheating.
Yeah.
No one is ever faithful to their spouse. Like, I don't know what that is.
Again, that's not wholly true, but it feels that way. I mean, there are certainly a lot of people.
Once you go back far enough, right? Like, and even then, like, I don't know, like from the 50s and back, it doesn't seem like anyone was ever faithful, and that seems, or anyone that had the means to not be faithful was ever. That's weird to me.
Again, I can find you examples.
Sure.
But yeah.
It just seems, anytime I ever look into anyone, I'm like, oh, well, they were also a terrible person. Here's all these awful things that we don't talk about. And is it them, if we have to change it to make it a palatable story where you don't hate the person, is that wrong? Like, morally, societally, is that wrong?
Yeah, you're saying is it irresponsible? I don't know. Because, like, I'm a broken record when it comes to the biopic thing. Like, I've always taught, you know what I'm going to say, right? Like, characters have got to be sympathetic for me to care, and it's a story. And if certain things are changed and it's a good story, I don't care, except for when I do. And the problem is I can't be totally consistent about this, because we talked about this on another video earlier, like, I liked Bohemian Rhapsody okay, and then I found out more about it, and then it felt kind of like kind of manipulative and sensational and like unnecessarily so. And like some of the issue with that was a lot of things that were interesting in real life that were changed to be more stereotypical and watered down. So there is more of a narrative problem there than I'm letting on, but some of it really was. But that's not how it happened in real life, and isn't that more interesting? Why wouldn't you tell the story like that? ignorance is bliss with this. Like, if I like the story and I care about the person and there's a good character arc, I tend to not care if it's like it is in real life. But that's me on an individual level. As far as the larger,
and that's looking at it as a narrative,
societal. But that should be the point of it before anything.
Right. But if because I think most people think based on a true story is real.
And that's where I was going. That's the problem, is that's me on an individual basis. I can give you the caveats and I understand the difference. When you're and I can go look it up, and if I care to, then I'm like, oh, okay, that's not really, but like I'm not I'm always suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
I never expect that it's exactly like it happened in real life, because it's probably not, right? Just like, we adapt things, real hard from comics to screen. If I've not read the comic, I assume it's not anything like the comic, right? Or not a lot like the comic. So it is a problem on a larger societal scale, because we're not careful about it and we don't think about it, and the masses aren't paying enough attention, and that is some people's, I'm sorry to say, education.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad.
Yeah.
No, that is a problem.
But is it sinister? Do you think it's sinister?
I don't know. I don't think so now, because we see a lot of biopics that get away from that now. We didn't have this problem with The Founder.
But
that
those
was that kind of an independent film? Like,
and they're also adult skewing, right?
Well,
like,
sure.
they're always
That's about family films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it's hard not to see. Like, I haven't seen it. Maybe it's a lovely film. You really like it. I think morally inexcusable. Saving Mr. Banks.
I know.
Based on
and I agree with you, and yet I compartmentalize when I watch it.
Sure.
I don't know if that's okay or not.
And maybe it's a great film, but the fact that they put that into the world and people aren't thinking about it the way you are, I think that's a problem.
But whose responsibility is it?
I mean,
and
okay.
That's the thing, is like, you can't expect, like, if Hollywood isn't supposed to educate people,
well,
then is it on them? Or is it on the rest of us for not doing our homework and not understanding the difference?
I mean, I think it's on the artist.
Do you?
Yeah, because you can't hold corporations accountable, because they're soulless machines, and especially something like say Mr. Banks, where Disney made a movie about their founder to make him look good.
I get that, yeah, and that's a problem.
I think it's on the artist.
I don't think it's on the artist until in the film it says this is what happened, or
just make a fictional thing that's inspired by true events. Make it completely fictional. Don't make it Mary Poppins. Make it a fictional story. Why not? If you're that far away from reality in the first place, right?
Yeah. No, I can't disagree with that. Yeah. When I'm looking at the thing, this is where I have a hard time. When I'm looking at the thing on its own terms, I'm not concerned about that, where I'm not going like, well, they should have done it like this. But stepping back from it, yeah.
At least on a societal level. Not for you personally, who understands the difference between inspired by true events and true events.
Right. On the business side, and the movie that at the end says, like starts giving like straight up facts, and then this person went off and did this, and we're assuming that's exactly the person we saw. No, it's not. The issue is on the business side, without the name recognition, can you make the film they're expensive? That whole thing. So like it's sticky, it's difficult. I see both sides of it. I think ultimately at the end of the day, you're right, and it is a problem. Just as much as a lot of like least common denominator and watering down things in movies, like lowering people's standards and expectations. This is not that far away from a lot of the problems that I have with action movies and regular popcorn things. Just what it's doing to us as a society.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Well, and then I guess then the question is, does the artist have responsibility to society?
Exactly. And I can't answer that question.
I think when other people are involved, yes. Like, I think you can make whatever you want, but a biopic is not you making whatever you want. That's taking other stuff, right? Like, that you're now distorting other things. It's not just you.
That's adaptation.
It's not just your thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But we're okay with artists putting their own spin on like a book adaptation or something, where like it's the author's intention, but now I'm one of the authors too. So like I'm entitled to also put my stamp on it.
Well, and I mean that is a problem. Like we've talked about like when movies come out, people are like, oh, it's just like the book, but they never read the book and it's not like the book. Like that's certainly a thing that happens. Sure. But even that's a little different to me because it's not real and no one thinks it really happened. I guess they're dumber for thinking that's what the book is, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about.
No, that's a great topic.
What is your topic?
That's difficult. I have a question for you that this will be less heady. We've had a couple of really heady things.
If I get to do another topic, it will also be less heady.
Okay, cool. You will. There's no way we talk 20 minutes about this. I wouldn't think, but who knows with us? Who knows with us? And this could turn into some other completely other topic. My mind is just going to be swimming about that last topic, Eric. I don't even want to talk about my thing. No,
I got you away from Godzilla.
The thing that I want to talk about from last show, or this is a thing that I wanted to talk about that I didn't get around to from our Christmas show, which is, but like we're still close enough to when we did Christmas that I still have presents on my brain.
Have you read Klaus yet?
I'm going to ask you this question. Sorry, what?
Have you read Klaus yet?
I haven't. I still got to do that.
You're too far away from Christmas now. You have to wait till next year.
No, I don't. If I'm too far away, then we can't talk about it in the omnibus, and like I want to do that. So anyway, sure. Eric, is it better to tell people when you open a present and you see that they got you something you own already? Is it better to tell them or to play dumb? I have this difficulty every Christmas. I never know, and with me, it's a case-by-case thing, and I'm never sure if I'm right about it. Where whoever like, is it more like fair to them or polite to just like nod and smile and say thank you for this gift, or to tell them I'm sorry I already have this?
I err on just be polite.
Do you really? Don't
overplay it. Don't be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've never seen such a thing before. But no, I err on that. I mean, it's different person to person. You know, with a friend that you might be able to be like, I actually already have this. But like, just generic family gatherings.
Yeah,
like
you and I wouldn't say face with each other. I wouldn't.
No. Yeah.
But with other people, like extended family and stuff, here's my problem.
Yeah, people don't see that often. Don't like they understand you as a person, but like not like intricately.
The problem is my luck is this. Usually, not always.
I also know I'm very hard to buy for.
I am as well. You are harder to buy for than I am because you currently live alone. I mean, you live in somebody else's house, but you don't have like another person who can as easily like go in and look at all your stuff. Like somebody that wanted to buy something for you could contact me, but like I don't. This drives me crazy, and maybe I've talked about this before. I don't think there's any excuse with a married person. Just email his wife. I don't get that. I get that all the time. Well, Cap, you're just too difficult to buy for. I don't know what to get you. Yeah, but I live in a house with other people. Like just call them up and find out if the thing you're looking at is something I have. Okay, here's the problem. Too often, the thing that I open that I have already, and I have the worst poker face in the world. That's part of the problem. But I'll open a thing, and yeah, it's fucking awful. So somebody, I want to get good at poker. I am not good at poker. I open up a present, and I'm like, thanks, and I try to look as excited as I can, as you said, without going overboard. The problem is very often it's a thing that they think I'm going to go gaga over, and they're uncomfortable and unhappy because my reaction is not what they expected it to be, and they can see in my eyes that that I'm not over the moon, and I don't know how to curb that. I don't know what to do about that.
Is there one that happened specifically this year?
I think this year I escaped it. I didn't with Freddie's birthday. One of his aunts gave him 2 presents, and they were both things that Jason and Freddie had already.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And that was really hard to like pretend. And I finally did end up telling her that there were things we had already, and then we decided that there were things that were not bad to have duplicates of, so it wasn't a big deal.
Sure.
Where like he's got 2 remote control Mario Karts now, they can race them, like that's fine. But I always have a tough time with that, where I'm just like, and I'm thinking about the fact that I'm not sure how I should react.
Yeah.
I've never been good at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the worst I've ever had I guess it's not a duplicate gift, but you were here when my mom was. I was like, I got you a special thing, and I opened it up, and I was like, I don't know what this is.
Well, you've had the benefit of getting a lot of presents from people who are not around when you open them.
That's true.
Living here anyway.
But those people also just kind of work off a list.
Right.
And my entire family is trained to just work off a list.
When I see, that's the thing, is that you've got this system nailed. Because with me, it's, what do you want for Christmas? Here are the things I want for Christmas.
Well, I want to get you something you're expecting.
You think you're going to get. So then they go for something else, and then sometimes it's a duplicate. I'm like, well, that's why I gave you a list. I don't know. And I don't mean to sound ungrateful and stuff. It's just, I'm a lot less concerned with I didn't get the thing that I wanted than I am, like, disappointing the person who thought I was going to be excited. That's, I hate that feeling. The worst feeling in the world. And one, you can't put it back in the bottle. So, I don't know. There's no good answer.
Well, and then you also have the people that, like, just aren't good at reacting. Have you had that? Where, like, you get somebody something, and they do really like it, but they're just not super expressive, like, with gifts, like, oh, this is cool.
You can't gauge them. You can't tell.
Yeah. That sucks. For me, that sucks. Because I'm very much about giving gifts, and, like, I'm good at it, and...
Yeah, and for you, it's not about you, but it is about you. You know, where it's like...
I want them to be excited with the thing I got them, and I'm good at that.
That's the satisfying part of the experience for you. I mean, like, this year, for me, the most satisfying opening was you with the Transformers figures.
Sure.
And that was wonderful. I got to get it on camera, and like you were really excited about the thing I got you. Yeah, and it was. I mean that was great. But you're right. There are a lot of people who aren't expressive, and you might have made their whole Christmas and never know it.
Yep. My friend John's like that.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, he's a little stone faced.
He is.
He's hard to read. I thought you were hard to read, and then I met John. That's an old friend of Eric's from Florida, who visited us last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
I think it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It all runs together for me now.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is your next?
Okay, so this is going to be kind of like a little game.
Oh boy, I love games. Do I have to review something in your collection?
No.
Okay. Do I have to color something? Don't make me fucking draw, because I was just making up things. Okay. I don't know. Do I have to clean?
No. So we talk a lot about like your Batman kind of a thing. Like everyone has their idealized like Batman. Like that's my Batman. Right?
We're talking about how you're Batman.
No. About how everyone has their own Batman, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about, and that's true of like everyone in Batman's universe. Like every version is different.
You mean we all have our own version of those other characters too?
Yeah.
So you're going to ask me about some of those characters.
I'm going to run down some of those characters.
Oh, this is fun.
Okay. So
you want me to name the specific iterations?
Not just specific, not even necessarily specific iterations, okay. But like kind of conceptually what they're all villains except for one.
Okay. Okay.
But like their backstory, like what gets them to where they are, kind of a thing. Like what is your idealized? So
yeah.
So the first one, Two-Face.
Yeah.
How do you like a Harvey Dent before he's Two-Face?
Boy, this is fun. By the way, can I just
sure.
say? I am all over the place on this now.
Okay.
Because it's funny because we always talk about how in comics there's not a definitive Two-Face story, but I've now seen a lot of different backgrounds that I'm fine with a lot of them. So like I tend to prefer a Harvey Dent who is really good friends with Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't have a lot of that with a lot of his villains. And that is that fun classic, we used to be friends, but now we're enemies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cooler with Two-Face because half of that man is still there, so I really like that. I don't need Two-Face to have multiple personalities, but I'm okay with it when we do that.
You mean when he is already Two-Face?
Yeah.
Or you mean as Harvey Dent before?
No, as Harvey Dent before.
I don't like that. It's my biggest problem with the animated series.
See, and I was okay with it in that, but... Oh, you don't like it there?
No,
okay.
I like him... So
do you think it's less interesting because once he...
you can already tell he's a crazy person. Like, he's got this demented side to him.
That's fair.
For me...
Yeah.
I think the closest to what I visualize in my head is Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I want him to be a genuinely good guy who maybe has a bit of a temper that comes out sometimes. I don't want him to already be half crazy.
The best thing about the Dark Knight version, and the more I watch that movie, the more this really comes out to me, and it didn't in the theater, is the idea of the two-sided coin that wasn't scratched in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's not the only place that does it. Is that also done in Long Halloween? Is that where that comes from? I can't remember.
I've always understood it as he scratches it when he becomes Two-Face, but that might be my childhood understanding of that.
But specifically, the idea that he pretends like he goes by chance, but he makes his own luck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that comes from.
I don't know.
But if that's Dark Knight's idea, it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my favorite idea, is that he's that confident and that sure of his own morality.
And he completely loses that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, that is...
I like a good Harvey Dent, as opposed to...
Yes,
I'm not sure about Batman the Animated Series Harvey Dent beforehand.
I am. He just has a disorder. So the actual man is a good man.
You think he's a good man?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I never got a great sense of him. I mean, he's in like 2 episodes before he becomes Two-Face.
I mean, you get the sense that he wasn't always like that, and that it was a childhood thing, and that like his dark side manifested. But he's a guy with a temper, but that doesn't make him a bad person.
No.
And then that I never.
Although his temper is extreme.
I never fully bought that whole thing, but I didn't hate the idea. But I'm with you. I think the Dark Knight version is more my definitive version. But
all right. Yeah. Joker, pre-Bad Acid. What do you want? Do you want anything?
I mean, this is most people's answer. I do prefer the ambiguous one, and again, that is done wonderfully in Dark Knight. Also, I like the idea of the Joker who, maybe you don't even like. He pretends like he knows his past. He may not. Mm-hmm. I really like that. The thing that can be at odds for me with that is I like a Joker who either isn't actually insane, because that's scary. Like the idea that a person could just do the things he does and be perfectly lucid is really freaky. But then that is at odds with the ambiguous idea that maybe he doesn't even know his own past, right? Like he probably should know himself. If you're gonna go that way, but not knowing is kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I do prefer Joker where I don't know his past.
I don't want to know his past at all.
Yeah.
Because I feel like whatever it is, it does not make sense.
Yeah.
Because
no, I'm with you.
Like some people treat the Killing Joke one as like the definitive origin, like that. They're like Joker's a failed comedian. I'm like, so where do you get all that science chemistry knowledge from?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like Joker's got too much going on. Like I feel like if you fill in those blanks, it doesn't work.
I don't buy that Jack Napier in =89 is as good at chemistry as...
No, it's just randomly thrown in. He's like,
he's great at chemistry. Art. Chemistry. Art. Yeah. There were places where a backstory for Joker is done okay, but I never want to move on from it. I never want that to be the definitive thing that we keep dealing with.
I never want to be canon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think you have a great idea for how the Joker became the Joker, that's fine. Don't tell me it's how it actually happened.
It also makes him more interesting as the other side of Batman's coin, because he is completely defined by one event.
Mm-hmm. Riddler? Nothing?
I don't
He's your
know.
favorite.
Riddler is a great idea, okay? Obviously, we've done more good stories with him recently. I think... So, the Riddler who is obsessed with besting Batman, and being, like, the person that creates the impossible case is much more interesting to me than the Riddler who just compulsively leaves riddles and just cannot help himself but leave a riddle every time he does it.
We've tried to, like, psychologically explain that.
Yeah.
Where, like, I hate, like there's a story where
it just feels like a character gimmick to me.
His dad thought he lied and, like, beat him so that he wouldn't lie. And so, like, somehow that transfers into, I can't steal, like, I have to leave a clue.
That's weird.
He's just a smart fucking guy. And he just thinks he's smarter than everybody.
I have come to like a demented Riddler.
Sure.
At one time I didn't care for that. I do like that now. I think that because the idea that he is, a borderline insane, usually Riddler's borderline insane before he's like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I like a borderline insane Riddler who has kind of lost his sense of morality, where it's all about the game and it's kind of ends justifies the means, and he looks at it almost like an artist where anything I do for the sake of my art is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I think definitively for me is animated series.
Yeah.
I like. That's not everything we do with him. I like that backstory of like he's just a real smart guy that got cheated.
Well, you said you didn't need a straight up iteration. That probably is mine. Although,
well, I'm not saying iteration. I'm just saying I like the idea that he comes from like he doesn't. We're so big with everyone now.
Yes.
I like that he's just like this smart guy who wants to prove that he's smarter than this guy. That I mean in the image was specifically like he took credit for like what he did. Like no, I'm smarter than you. And look, and then after he loses, he goes, oh, but that guy might be smarter than me. I have to make sure I'm smarter than that guy. Once Batman stops him,
and then becomes
I like him to just be a smart guy that's like really egotistical, but also like with a really fragile ego.
Fragile ego. That's a good point. The guy who thinks like a bazillion steps ahead can be really cool. But right, he can get too big, and that's why I'm conflicted about Zero Year because like I love that, and yet do I really want Riddler to start from that big of a place?
Mm-hmm.
I also like Arkham Riddler a lot.
I don't know Arkham Riddler.
And that's the really demented version, who still at the end of the day is kind of pathetic, but he's just. But he's just able to think like a million steps ahead.
Well, he's the most evil villain because he sends you down those corridors where you think you're going to find something. It's just a fucking Riddler trophy.
Not to mention the death traps, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's worse to you as a player.
I don't know. Sometimes those death traps are really scary.
Penguin.
I go for a real traditional, like faux intellectual Penguin. Or straight up intellectual Penguin, who just is kind of deformed or squat or nobody takes seriously. But I also have come to really appreciate a demented Penguin. I think the best version of that character is, at least for me, is specifically the No Man's Land novel version.
Okay.
When you go back and look at what Rucka does with him in prose, that's my favorite.
So
I did that a few months ago. Well, I guess I talked about it on the Omnibus.
Yeah. I also like a faux intellectual. The problem with faux intellectuals, I think sometimes it makes them like a joke, which is why I think I prefer genuine intellectual. I like the idea of him being intellectual, but like from the streets, and so like no one takes him seriously, even though he is genuinely smart.
Faux intellectual, but he's faux high society.
Yes, faux high society.
Where he can't get into that world.
Mm-hmm.
But he is well read, and yeah.
That's. I don't like the monster-y.
I don't tend to either.
I just don't think that's interesting. I got two more. Catwoman?
Yeah, sure. That's another character that I think there's like a million different ways to do that. I think you could. I think you could do Catwoman first. I think there's as many different ways to do that as there is Batman. But what is my definitive version of that character? That's hard. I don't know that I have one.
Sure.
I really don't know if I have one. I mean, at the moment, it's probably Tom King's.
Well, yeah. I like a playful Catwoman.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes we try to harden her up, and I just don't know. I like that she's just a thief.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even need her to have a cause. Like we try to do that to make her sympathetic.
That's fair.
I like that she's just a thief, maybe a thrill seeker, and like being chased by Batman is part of the fun. That's I don't know. And then
and like she does what she can because she can. You know, where like she likes to seduce Batman because she can, but then there is a heart in there, so that's why she straddles the fence.
Because she's not murdering people; she's just stealing things. Like
a Catwoman that does murder people. This is the problem with the '60s version. I mean, she's not a straight up murderer, but she is. We just can't see it on the screen because it's the '60s show. But like the problem with that Catwoman is she is a straight up bad guy, but Batman looks at women differently, and so she sort of straddles the fence, but only because she likes Batman. Like that's kind of it. That's the problem with that kind of a version. Mm-hmm. But we've done that in more serious things too.
And then Commissioner Gordon.
It was always.
And also, do you want him younger or older?
I like an older Commissioner.
I do too. I didn't like in 52 where he's got like the red hair again. I like that at the beginning, like a year one kind of thing. When Batman's hanging out with him in modern day, it should be gray hair.
It's just in my mind, and we've seen this done a lot. It's not always done this way, but in my mind,
he's got snow cone.
He was already a police officer when Bruce Wayne's parents got murdered.
Yeah.
In my mind, he's always there when Bruce's parents get
For
married.
me, if Batman, let's say Batman starts like 25, and let's say, or even later, but I think
he should be at least in his late 40s. I mean, like he should be at least or mid 40s. He should be at least 20 years older than Batman.
If Batman is currently in his late 30s, which is about where I picture late 30s, early 40s, Commissioner Gordon should be late 40s, early 50s at the least.
I think so too.
I mean, he can't be too old because he's supposed to be working for the police, but yeah, I like an older Commissioner Gordon.
And I do tend to like a Commissioner or a Gordon that knows that Bruce Wayne's Batman but doesn't say anything.
I also like him and Batman being friends and not like begrudging.
Oh yes, me too. But and that's usually that version, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you either have an internal logic that says for the conceit of the piece nobody figures it out, or he looks like an idiot. And one of the really hard things to write the line with Commissioner Gordon is whether or not he's incompetent because he needs Batman. How do you do that? And that can be really tough. And then one of the most interesting things with Commissioner Gordon is because he works with Batman, he accidentally encourages his daughter to be Batgirl.
Mm-hmm. And everything that gets her to that place intellectually. But yeah, that's
awesome. That's fun.
Sure, that was my game.
Well, folks, that we are at about an hour, so that's probably good enough. We will do. I've got lots more topics. I'll have more stuff for next time.
We spent a long time on that.
We did, but I figured we probably would. I mean, it's kind of a big topic.
It is. It is a big topic.
It is a big part of life.
I just talked about death right after that Godzilla movie. I wasn't even thinking about that when we started talking about that, but that's about.
Yeah, it really is. That whole thing is just. Anyway, but yeah, well, and something I didn't say earlier about the whole death thing too. I should tack on is that again, I was worried as we were talking about that I was going to sound like real depressing and real cynical and stuff. Like, I don't have a hard time with like comedy about death and stuff. Like, I really like morbid comedy. I always have.
What does your death look like? Is he a skeleton man with a cane? Is it like a sexy chick? Like, what is death? I think death is...
I love the Thanos version so much that, like, it's hard not to say that, but when I was growing up, it was always just kind of generically a skeleton guy.
I think my death is...
Or the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Sure.
That Grim Reaper.
I think if death exists as a concept, at least as I conceive of death...
Uh-huh.
Personality-wise, real close to Hades from Hercules.
That's great.
I think he's just a real chill guy. He's just doing his job. I guess not that dissimilar from Bill and Ted's death, but
maybe
I imagine him in a suit.
I'm going to write this down. I'm just going to throw this idea out there, and then maybe we can talk about it next time. I think a really interesting topic would be if you had like the chance at immortality, would you take it? Or if there was like a pill you could take to like elongate your life?
I can't say that immediately. I would not.
Would you do it? And see, I think I would. And so
I would not.
That's a really interesting discussion.
What makes life worth living is that it ends. I don't.
But that's relative.
Sure.
And again, I still have a very difficult time imagining the world without me in it. You and I look at this very differently.
And I also like that there's a cap off.
I have days where I wish I could look at it like you do.
If I fuck up, it's gonna end.
That's fair.
If I fuck up and I end up homeless and I'm immortal...
Okay, what if you could do the reincarnation thing?
Just reincarnate the people?
No. What if your life could end but start over in some other way, so you get a reset button?
I'm not opposed to that, but the problem with reincarnation, at least as I understand it, philosophically or like mythologically, you never know. You don't know you've been reincarnated.
So then what's the point?
Which is what I think is... I'm not going to caveat it, because I'm talking shit about Christianity all the time. But what I think is bullshit about the like Hindu belief system is the idea that like you keep trying to achieve enlightenment, but you don't remember your previous lives. So you're not
like
building
somebody
on
else starting over.
Yeah, it's just that seems bullshit to me. That doesn't seem like enlightenment.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you're not at the $15 tier right now, and at the time of this recording, the only person that is Neil. And you
Hi, Neil.
Thanks for being here, buddy. And he's not the only one watching. He's just the only person that gave us a topic. If you would like to give us a topic, for Geekvolution After Dark or any of the other shows where we answer questions, or Geeks Not Nerds, where you can give us a whole topic to talk about for 15 whole minutes on the Geekvolution Omnibus, you can join the $15 tier. And of course, I'm always taking questions on the Captain Logan show, so you can pop up live for that. But this would allow you to ask a question on that show and not even be there. So anyway, that's what's going on. Thanks everybody for watching. We sure appreciate it, and thanks again for helping us out with the channel monetarily. And in the meantime, we'll see you again with lots more content here on Geekvolution. Thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Yep.
I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Bye, folks.